Solution, water. Water is literally a liquid crystal superconductor of sound and light. The liquid crystal superconductor, the creative juice of the universe.
So water's a liquid crystal superconductor of sound and light, is it, Len? I'm going to be up front here for everyone. It is my opinion that Dr. Horowitz is more akin to a parrot than a scientifically respectable doctor. I think that you simply heard those words, Len, and then like a parrot, you've learnt to repeat them to obtain a tasty treat. Let me show you why. First off, superconductors. Superconductor technology is an important field of science. Superconductors make most MRIs. You remember those, don't you, Len? Function. They also allow for the famous bullet train to levitate. Perhaps most importantly, with future development they could one day significantly reduce global energy wastage, effectively reducing the demand on our energy reserves and our energy bills. The properties that make these substances so useful are outlined in the definition of what a superconductor is. A superconductor is a substance that has no electrical resistance and excludes interior magnetic fields. It is the lack of electrical resistance that could one day allow superconductor technology to deal a large blow to our energy problems. The exclusion of internal magnetic fields leads to the levitation properties that you can see here. There is no mention of sound or light in that definition, Len. Just for completeness, the problem with superconductors at the moment is that they only function at low temperatures. When I say low, the so-called high temperature superconductors only work at around the temperature of liquid nitrogen, minus 196 degrees Celsius. Secondly, liquid crystals. Now this is another vast area of science that bridges chemistry, physics and biology. A great many substances and products we use every day use liquid crystal technologies. Not just the displays that many of you will be using to watch this video, but even items such as soap and cosmetics, medicines, all use liquid crystals. Not many people understand what liquid crystals are, however. I would say that Horowitz is safely in that group. So let's take a quick look at the question of what a liquid crystal is. Much like the name suggests, liquid crystals are a mesophase of matter between liquid and solid phases. Conceptually, this can be thought of as a liquid crystal being able to flow like a liquid whilst retaining some order like a crystal. Liquid crystals were first discovered by Friedrich Reinitzer, a botanist, in 1888. The compound he discovered to possess liquid crystalline properties was cholesterol benzoate. This is not often used for liquid crystalline properties today, however it is still used in some cosmetics. The actual term liquid crystal was coined by Otto Lehmann, after he was asked to help characterize the phase. The first commercially viable liquid crystal for displays was created by George W. Gray. From this starting point, liquid crystals in displays have spread to a great many applications, even to the point of recently including small LCDs in credit cards. All liquid crystals, however, are not the same. This is a simplified view of the types of liquid crystals that exist. The first division is between lyotropic and thermotropic liquid crystals. Liquid crystalline phases may be presented with the use of a solvent. Soaps, for example, are lyotropic liquid crystals, as when they are mixed with water in particular concentrations, they form micellar-like structures that give rise to liquid crystalline properties. The next time you look at the sludge in the bottom of your soap dish, remember that what you are looking at is a vast number of self-assembling microscopic structures, not too far removed from those structures that a few billion years ago became home to the genetic material that started the tree of life. Thermotropic liquid crystals do not require mixing with a solvent to present a liquid crystal phase. The pure compound may display a liquid crystalline phase within a certain temperature range. Even within the liquid crystal phase of a compound, a variety of different types of phase can be seen. This is based on the amount and type of ordering of the molecules, known as mesogens. The closest of these to an isotropic liquid, such as water, is the nematic phase. This is typically the type of phase that is used in displays. This phase has only one order parameter, meaning that the mesogens are only ordered by on average pointing in the same direction. As you can see, nematic liquid crystal mesogens tend to be long, rod-shaped molecules. This stylized structure is a key factor in producing the nematic liquid crystalline phase. This is in stark comparison to the structure of water, which is comparatively small and bent. A property of a nematic phase liquid crystal is that it can rotate the plane of polarized light. This is how displays work. The polarized light can be thought of as a sheet of card, and the polarizer as a cattle grid. As the light passes through the grid, it is all aligned in one direction. If it were to meet another polarizer that is rotated 90 degrees, then the light may not pass through it. Hence, if you were to look through the polarizers, they would appear black. If there is a nematic phase liquid crystal between the two polarizers, however, then it can form a helix that rotates the polarized light, allowing it to fit through the second polarizer. These are images of liquid crystals observed through a temperature-controlled polarizing microscope. You may notice the black areas. In this case, they are air bubbles. However, this is exactly what you would see if you placed water on the slide. These 2 points are a brief summary, demonstrating the fact that collectively we know a great deal about both superconductors and liquid crystals, and that we have known much of this for a long time. Simply throwing these terms about to support your hokum, when you clearly have no idea what you're on about, speaks volumes for your lack of credibility. Superconductors are not related to sound or light, and pure water is not a liquid crystal. Now, I have a lot of Horowitz fans questioning my ability to disagree with Horowitz on points of fact, and asking for my qualifications. This is simply because an argument from authority is seen by them as a perfectly valid stance to take. While I will not disclose my qualifications, I will say this. I know a little bit about the subjects of liquid crystals and superconductors, as in the past I have made them both. That's right, I have literally made things levitate and crystals that flow. I can only manage these magical feats by the grace of an education and being able to read. As for Dr. Polly, mindless regurgitation will not cut the mustard. You are not going to get a cracker from me until you learn how to use these words properly. Water is not a liquid crystal, and it is not a superconductor. Until next time, Len, remember.
You know, ignorance is no excuse.